my note card because I'm not going with my phone because screw out words out of my mouth without freaking out. So, how's everybody tonight?
Woo!
Thanks for coming to see us. Right, Kelly, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We designated like 10 minutes apiece, so I'm going to talk really fast, probably because I have a lot to say. But I do want to get to know a little bit about you guys. I'm assuming most of you are writers, so I'm wondering how many write YA? Just raise your hand. And how many write edgy YA? People, awesome. Me too. I kind of flip-flop between edgy contemporary and paranormal YA, but I like all YA. But I'm going to talk to you about edgy YA, and then I'll read a couple pages from my book, Dream Smashers. So I've been told that the term edgy in YA fiction has become a little bit passé. They say it's been overused and its relevance questionable. After all, what may be edgy to me may not be edgy to you guys. For example, The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton used to be considered very edgy, but now maybe not so much. Perhaps to maybe extremely sheltered people, but a lot of people would probably disagree that it's edgy. A lot of controversy over the years has come from Salinger's Catcher in the Rye, Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, but those pale in comparison to some of the recent edgy YAs such as Push by Sapphire, which is actually now a movie, Snack by Ellen Burgess, or Go Ask Alice. The list is really long. We could use the term dark, or gritty, or disturbing, but for tonight, I'll be passé and use the term edgy. Edgy is fairly easy to define when it comes to YA literature. It's basically any book that a kid has to hide from their parents to read, or a book that has ended up on the banned books list anywhere in the world. If it contains or is about sex, drugs, swear words, bullying, gay relationships, rape, incest, eating disorders, or the like, it could be considered edgy. But to me, when people label a book edgy or even ban it from school library, that means that the book is about real life. The intentions of an edgy YA book doesn't necessarily push the envelope of what may or may not be acceptable, but grabs at the heart of what is real and brings forth a story that is relatable, provocative, rich, and beautiful as real life. Many people wonder why edgy YA books sell so well. After all, isn't reading fiction about escapism? Isn't there enough dark and depressing things to deal with in real life? Why would anyone want to read about it? When I was in elementary school, I read all of Judy Blume's books that I can get my hands on. Books like Blubber, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It's Not the End of the World. Books that I could relate to and learn from and feel a kinship with the protagonists of those stories. Books that understood me. Because every kid or teen growing up only wants to be understood, but not only that, they want to understand the world. When I read It's Not the End of the World, a book about a young girl whose parents are divorcing. My parents weren't divorcing. They're still together, actually. But I knew kids whose parents did divorce, and that book gave me a better understanding of what they may be going through. Most of the kids who read my book, Dream Smashers, which is about a teenager whose mother is a meth addict, they usually don't have meth-addicted parents. Now, some do, and they relate to the book immensely. But those who don't grasp a better understanding of the destruction of this drug causes. They may have more compassion towards the victims of meth, but they also may no longer be curious about trying meth themselves, because there is no try with meth, there's only do. But the most important thing about writing edgy YA fiction is to keep it real. Don't write a book to teach a lesson. Nobody will read it, and people will read right through it. Don't intentionally try to push the envelope by making your book edgy. Don't add F-bombs if they aren't true to the story. Don't add gratuitous sex or violence just to try to sell, because it won't. Tell a story, make it real, make it relatable, make it provocative, but make it beautiful. Don't worry if it will be considered edgy or not, and you'll have a story that teens would love to read. That's my next piece. And now I'm going to read a few pages. Now, prior to this particular scene, the protagonist, her name is Autumn. She's on a double date with her boyfriend Evan and her best friend Rainey, and they just came out of the skating rink and are in the parking lot, and it's dark, and it's raining, and it's cold, and Autumn's grandmother just zipped into the parking lot, and she jumped out of the car and announced that Jacinda, which is Autumn's mother, is in the hospital. Faster, faster. I wish she would drive faster, but with slick roads, that would be crazy. And Evan isn't that. But he is a gentleman and volunteered to drive Graham's car. Caleb and Rainey following Evan's car. I turned to Graham's, sitting next to me in the back seat, her hand shivering in mine. I'm sure everything is fine. Lie. I can't possibly know that. They probably just wouldn't tell you on the phone because they didn't have time or something. It's freakishly slippery outside, so maybe there's a lot of accident victims or something. Ramble, ramble, lie, lie. Maybe she's one of those people that were in the accident. Probably just a broken leg or something. Graham shakes her head. Her gray eyes stare straight forward. Dread fills my body. I wish we were on a grassy hill far away from here, the sun warming our skin, and one by one we roll down the hill to the bottom where we find a field of daisies. I wish we could drive by the hospital and keep going. Pretend that they never called Graham's. Just drive like we're out for ice cream. Or we can drive all the way to the coast, rent a room on the ocean, and watch the storm slam in. California is nice this time of year. Let's hop on the I-5 for a trip to Disneyland or Hollywood or something. Anything but the hospital. Evan's eyes meet mine in the rearview mirror. They aren't smiling like earlier tonight, but are filled with concern. I squeeze Graham's bony, cold hand as we pull into the parking lot of the hospital. See, look at all these cars. The place is busy as heck. But deep in my heart, I know that I'm probably right. Jacinda can't die without making things good with us. She just can't. If she died now, well, I'm not going to dwell on that because she isn't dying. We don't even know. But what if she is? I totally wished her away. Maybe this is what I want. The carefree life that I've always dreamed of doesn't have a mother high on meth in it. That's for sure. Not this way, though. Life would never be carefree if she left us like this. Guilt would whittle away any life I tried to make for myself. Guilt of not trying to forgive her, for not loving her like I should. For sleep on the streets and not insisting she stay with us. For yelling at her, for hating her, for not saving her, or at least trying. Evan drives the car into the multi-level car park, winding up and up the ramp. Caleb and Rainey follow. The artificial lights flash through the car in segments like an old picture show. Dark, light, dark, light, dark, light. It's not my fault, though. She did this, made life this way, not me. Stuck in a melting pot without a single score to grab onto, I debate. My heart says forgive, my mind says no. I sigh. Graham turns to look at me. Don't you worry, you pretty little head. You're right. It probably isn't serious, she says. She brushes hair away from my face, and I know she is battling the same war I am. Hers is a bloodier one, though, for a mother always forgives her daughter. Yet that forgiving, for so many years, has brought us here today. If only Grams had put her foot down firmly so long ago. She did with me. Grounded for life is what she threatened with if I ever touched drugs. Why didn't it work with Jacinda? Didn't she punish her? Didn't Gramps? I study her face, the worry lines etched by time around her mouth, the persistent frown that never leaves her thin lips, and the sunken, sad eyes that no longer shine. No, it's not her fault either. It's nobody's fault. The car stops. Grams climbs out and lights a cigarette. She shuffles her feet to the elevator, taking several drags along the way, and then snuffs it out into the ashtray before stepping into the open compartment. We follow.